Sortons vite de l'OTAN. Sortons vite de l'OTAN. Sortons vite de l'OTAN.
Anti-NATO protests have gripped France as the country grapples with the cost of living crisis. The protests come amid a strike by union workers at France's petroleum refineries. A massive crowd of protesters marched through the center of Paris on Saturday, demanding that France radically change its stance on NATO and the EU, international media reported. The protesters have also called for the resignation of the country's president Emmanuel Macron. The demonstration reflects similar rallies being held across Europe in opposition to their respective governments' support for the war in Ukraine. The constant supply of arms by mainly NATO members has prolonged the conflict in Eastern Europe, leading to the suffering of civilians caught up in the crossfire. The march was organized by the right-wing Les Patriotes, the Patriots Party, led by Florine Philippot, the former deputy head of Marine Le Pen's national rally. Dubbed the National Meeting of Resistance, the march attracted thousands of people, according to Philippot, who was also a member of the European Parliament between 2014 and 19. The demonstrators were holding a large banner, reading resistance, and smaller placards that read Frexit, a reference to a demand that France leaves the EU. Many protesters were also waving the national flag. According to videos published by Philippot on social media, the crowd was chanting, "Let's go out of NATO." They also demanded the ouster of the French President Emmanuel Macron as they marched near the Parliament building, the footage purports to show. The protesters denounced NATO warmongering as well as economic disruption and energy and health restrictions linked to the sanctions the EU imposed on Russia over the conflict in Ukraine. French officials have not commented on the rally and provided no official figures as to the number of demonstrators. The French media mostly ignored the event as well. According to the website of Les Patriots, similar rallies were also held on September 3rd and 17th. Last month, an estimated 70,000 people protested in Prague against the Czech government, calling on the ruling coalition to do more to control the soaring energy prices and voicing opposition to the European Union and NATO. For many years, the Kremlin has made it clear that if NATO continued to mass troops and weapons on the Russian border, the expansion would likely be met with serious resistance by the Russians, even with military action. On the other hand, Europe's decision to cave into American pressure and impose unprecedented sanctions on Moscow has heavily restricted the gas supplies to the continent, which have instead pushed the energy prices up, leaving many in poverty. Europe relied on 40% of Russian gas before the conflict erupted.
Sortons vite de l'OTAN. Sortons vite de l'OTAN. Sortons vite de l'OTAN. Sortons vite de l'OTAN.
Subscribe to One India channel and never miss an update.